Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to look at parallel lines and transversals and all of the angles that are related to that. So hopefully you know what a parallel line is. If not, these are two lines that will never meet. They're the same distance apart. They lie in the same plane and they are indicated with these little arrows that we see on here. That indicates that those lines are parallel. So those arrows in the middle of a line would indicate that those lines are parallel. So you may or may not already know that. Sometimes people will draw them in just like this, that those lines are parallel. So what happens when we have a line going across parallel lines? We get a bunch of other angles created. This line that crosses two or more lines is called a transversal. Now today we're only concerned about that transversal going across parallel lines. And if we look here, we actually get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 angles that are created from that transversal going across those parallel lines. Now there's some special relationships there that are helpful when we're trying to find missing angles. So let's look at some of those. So the first one here is corresponding angles. Corresponding angles lie on the same side of the transversal in corresponding positions. When a transversal intersects parallel lines, corresponding angles are congruent. So that means they're equal. So what does all of this mean? So let me do this in, we'll stay in purple here. So corresponding, they lie on the same side of the transversal. So our transversal is here. They indicate it here with T. I'm drawing over it right now in green. That's the line that cuts across the parallel lines. So there's my transversal. They lie on the same side. So let's look to the left of the transversal. So I'm looking at this angle here and this angle here. They both lie to the left, and they're both above one of the parallel lines. The one on the bottom's above that one. The one on top's above this one. Those are called corresponding angles, and they are going to be the same measure. So if I said that this angle up top here was 120, I automatically know that this one on the bottom here is 120 because they are corresponding angles. Knowing these relationships, like I said, will help us find all of these missing angles that we need here. There are other corresponding angles here as well. So if we look at this pair of purple ones here, this one here, and this one here, they both lie to the right of the transversal and below the parallel lines. The top one's below the top parallel line, the bottom one's below the bottom parallel line. And we also see that the green ones here, they lie both below but to the left of the transversal, and the red ones to the right of the transversal but above those parallel lines. All of those are corresponding angles. So corresponding, they will be congruent to each other. Now the blue one here is obviously not congruent to the red ones, but the red ones are congruent to the other red ones because they lie in that same position. All right, so let's take a look. What does all this mean? So I'm looking for the measure of angle 1 and angle 2. So what we know about corresponding angles, they lie in the same position relative to the transversal and the parallel lines. So in this case, the parallel lines are going up and down. See the little arrows here? Little arrow here, indicating that those lines are parallel. So the line here cutting across would be the transversal, and they're indicating it with a T. So I look, I know my one angle is 110, and that's below the transversal here and to the left of the parallel line. So that means this angle, who's below the transversal and to the left of the parallel lines, is in the same position as 110. So that means they're corresponding angles. That means that this angle here is 110. Now, angle 110 over here and angle 1 are 110 degrees, but what about angle 2? That's obviously an acute angle, so that's not 110, but I remember that these two lines, these two angles, form this straight line, and a straight line or a straight angle is 180 degrees. So to figure out angle 2, I'm going to take 180 degrees and subtract 110. Angle 1 and 2 are supplementary, if we remember that vocab word. So my missing angle over here, angle 2, is 70. So remember our other angle relationships, they will help us as well. All right, so that's one that we could do again. So 63 and 1 are corresponding. Angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary, so I can take 180, because those two add up to 180, subtract 63, and I get my answer of 117. So angle 2 is 117. See how quick these go? All right, so we have some other angle relationships here as well. Alternate interior angles and alternate exterior angles. So let's look at angle 3 and angle 5. This purple line or red line here, I think it's red, cutting through is the transversal, and our parallel lines are going horizontally this time. But I'm looking at angle 3 and angle 5. One is on the left of the transversal and one is on the right of the transversal. They're in alternate positions. They're alternating on different sides. But they're inside the parallel lines. 3 is inside, 5 is inside. That's the interior part of this. So we call these alternate, meaning different sides of the transversal, interior, meaning inside the parallel lines. These two will also be congruent, meaning they are the same measurement. So if I said angle 3 was 70 degrees, guess what? Angle 5 is also 70 degrees. Angle 6 and angle 4 are also alternate interiors. Now, they're not 70 degrees, but whatever angle 6 is and angle 4 is, they will be the same. Alternate exterior angles. So let's look here in green. Let's look at angle 2 and angle 8. Alternate meaning opposite sides of the transversal. Exterior meaning outside of the parallel lines. These are congruent as well. They are congruent to each other. So angle 2 and angle 8 are the same. Angle 1 and angle 7 here would also be congruent to each other. They are alternate exterior angles. All right, and we have consecutive interior angles. Consecutive interior angles meaning they are on the same side of the transversal. So I'm looking at angle 4, angle 5. They are on the same side. Now, we look at angle 4, that's an obtuse angle. Angle 5 is an acute angle. So we know that they're not equal to each other. But they will be supplemental, which means they add up to 180 degrees. So if I said angle 4 was 120 degrees, angle 5 would be 180 minus 120. So that is 60 degrees. So knowing that relationship would help us as well. Consecutive interior, and we also have consecutive exterior. So angle 8, they're on the same side of the transversal, but either both on the inside or both on the outside. Those are not equal to each other, and we can tell that by looking. Sometimes people forget, are they equal to each other? A lot of these are equal to each other, but consecutive are not. Consecutive will be supplemental, meaning they add up to 180 degrees. So let's practice a couple here. So in figure 1 here, I need to find angle 1 and angle 2. Well, what's the relationship here between the given angle? I start with my given angle, and can I get to angle 1? No, I can't get directly to angle 1. That relationship isn't anything that we've learned here. But I do know that angle 2 and angle 65, the 65-degree angle that's given, are both to the left of the parallel lines, and they're both above the transversal in this case. So they are in the same spot. They are corresponding angles. So guess what? Angle 2 is 65 degrees. And I know that the relationship between 1 and 2 are supplemental because they make up that straight line. We're going to see a lot of supplemental angles, I think. So I could take 180, subtract 65 from that, and I get 15 degrees. No, not 115 degrees. So that would be 115 degrees. All right, you would do something similar with 2. Now, let's take a look down here. Now you got a lot going on here in number 3. In number 3, we have our given angle of 41. Now, I could figure out angle 1 if I wanted to. I could figure out angle 2 if I wanted to. I could figure out angle 7 pretty easily without doing too much math. Now, without doing any real math, adding or subtracting, I can figure out angle 2 because there is a relationship between the given angle of 41 and angle 2. If we remember back, these are vertical angles, and vertical angles are congruent. So I know this one is 41. The given angle of 41 and angle 7, they're corresponding. They're both below the transversal and to the right of the parallel lines. So this one's 41. And if I look across from 7, there's another vertical angle, so that one's 41. So now I can figure out any of these other angles because, well, look, they're obtuse, but the given angle of 41 and 1 are supplemental. They form that straight line if I put them together. So I'm going to do 180 minus 41. So that's going to be 39, 139 degrees. This is 139 degrees. Look across from 1. Here's 3, vertical, 139. 3 and 6 are corresponding, 139. 6 and 4, vertical, 139. Could have also seen that 1 and 4 were corresponding in that same position relative to the transversal, below the transversal, and to the left of the parallel lines. So once you get a couple of these, the rest of them should all just fall right into place. So let's look at one other type here. All right, so in this type of problem, it says if the measure of angle 1 is 160 degrees, then the measure of angle 5 is what? So this changes each time here. So this is 160. And angle 5 and angle 1 have a relationship. So when it says explain your reasoning, angle 5 is going to be 160 degrees. And how do I know that? The explanation would be angle 1 and angle 5 are corresponding angles. So that would be enough to explain that. Now, let's look at number 7. Each one of these, the numbers start over. So I don't use that 160 again. They're looking at it differently. So it says angle 8 is 82. So right in there at angle 8, I'm going to put 82. So I know angle 8 is 82 degrees. It says find the measure of angle 3. Well, I don't really have a relationship between here 8 and 3. So there's some other ways I can get from 8 to 3. It's not directly, but I can look at 8 and 4. They are corresponding. I could look at 8 and 5. They're consecutive interior. I could look at 8 and 6. They're alternate interior. 8 and 6. That's where I'm going to go. I'm going to go 8 and 6 because they're going to be the same measurement because they are alternate interior angles. And then 6 and 3 are supplemental. So I would take 180, subtract 82 from it. I get 98. So angle 3 would be 98 degrees. Now my explanation here, so this would be 98 in here. My explanation is, I would write it as this. Angle 8 and angle 6 are alternate interior angles. Angle 6 and angle 3 are, I don't need to write R twice, are supplemental or supplementary. And that's your explanation, right? There's other ways of getting there as well. I could have said 8 and 4 are corresponding, 4 and 3 are supplemental. I could have done 8 and 5 are consecutive interior, and 5 and 3 are vertical. So there's a ton of ways of getting there, but we got to remember our past terms of supplementary and vertical as well. They will help as well as those new definitions that we just went over. All right, so that's where we are with those angle relationships. Quite a few there. You might want to review them. You might want to print out a sheet with them on there for easy reference as you go through practice problems.